Italy, a long, narrow peninsula in the heart of the Mediterranean, is one of the most significant countries in world history. Hardly any other place has influenced the development of politics, law, art, religion, science, and culture as profoundly as this country. From the legendary origins of Rome to the immense power of the Roman Empire, from the dark centuries of the Middle Ages to the radiant Renaissance, from the struggles for national unity to the modern republic, the history of Italy is a story of rise and fall, of war and renewal, of ingenuity and resilience. For millennia, the Italian peninsula has been a meeting point of diverse cultures. Traders from the east, warriors from the north, and seafarers from Greece brought their traditions, technologies, and ideas. From this mix emerged a civilization that would change the world. Today, Italy is known worldwide for its art, architecture, music, cuisine, fashion, and historic cities. But behind this beauty lies a complex and dramatic history full of conflict, revolutions, and great personalities. This is the complete history of Italy. Long before Italy existed as a nation, the peninsula was home to numerous peoples and cultures. Italy's landscape was extremely diverse. In the north rose the mighty Alps, separating the country from Central Europe. To the south stretched the fertile Po Valley. Further south lay the hills and plains of central Italy, as well as the warm coastal regions of the Mediterranean. As early as the Bronze Age, small communities of farmers, herders, and craftsmen emerged on the peninsula. Over time, these developed into larger tribal societies. In northern Italy, Celtic tribes settled, later known as Gauls. They brought with them advanced metalworking and a warlike culture. Central Italy was ruled by the mysterious Etruscans. The Etruscans developed highly sophisticated cities, erected temples, built roads, and performed complex religious rituals. Their cities, such as Tarquinia, Veii, and Cerveteri, were among the most important centers of the ancient world. The Etruscans had an enormous influence on later Roman culture. Many of the Romans' religious ceremonies, political symbols, and technical knowledge originally came from them. In southern Italy, Greek colonists founded numerous cities. This region was later called Magna Graecia, Greater Greece. Cities like Syracuse, Tarentum, and Naples developed into flourishing centers of trade and culture. The Greeks brought philosophy, mathematics, art, and democracy to Italy. This created a unique cultural exchange between different civilizations on the peninsula. But amidst this complex mosaic of peoples and cities, a small settlement on the Tiber River would grow into a power that would change the world. According to legend, Rome was founded in 753 BC by the twin brothers Romulus and Remus. The two children were said to have been raised by a she-wolf after being abandoned as infants. As adults, they decided to found a city. However, a dispute led to Romulus killing his brother Remus and becoming the sole ruler. The city was named after him, Rome. Even though this story is mythological, it reflects the importance the Romans placed on their own origins. Historically, Rome likely originated from several small Latin villages on the 7 hills surrounding the Tiber River. The location was ideal. The river facilitated trade, while the hills provided protection. Over time, Rome grew from a small settlement into a major regional center. The early Romans were heavily influenced by Etruscans. Many of Rome's kings were likely of Etruscan origin. The Etruscan rulers undertook extensive building projects, constructing temples, roads, and drainage systems. Simultaneously, an early political order began to develop. However, in 509 BC, the Romans rebelled against their last king, Tarquinius Superbus. The monarchy was abolished, and a new form of government emerged that would shape history, the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic was a revolutionary political order. Instead of a king, elected officials, senators, and popular assemblies now ruled. Supreme power rested with 2 consuls, each serving a 1-year term. This was designed to prevent a single ruler from becoming too powerful. The Senate consisted of members of the wealthy upper class, the patricians, but ordinary citizens, the plebeians, also increasingly fought for political rights. The Republic developed a remarkably stable political system. At the same time, Rome became ever more aggressive in its expansion. First, the Romans conquered the surrounding Latin cities. Then they gradually subjugated the entire Italian peninsula. The Samnite Wars, the battles against the Etruscans, and the conflicts with the Greek cities of southern Italy were long and brutal. The invasion of the Greek king Pyrrhus of Epirus in the 3rd century BC proved particularly dangerous. Although Pyrrhus won several battles, he suffered such heavy losses that the term Pyrrhic victory arose. Ultimately, Rome triumphed. By 264 BC, the Republic controlled almost all of Italy. But now Rome came into conflict with another major Mediterranean power, Carthage. Carthage was a powerful trading city in North Africa. The Carthaginian Empire controlled large parts of the Western Mediterranean. The struggle between Rome and Carthage led to the Punic Wars, one of the most famous conflicts of antiquity. The First Punic War began in 264 BC and was fought primarily at sea. Although Rome initially had little experience in shipbuilding, it quickly developed a powerful fleet. After decades of fighting, Rome emerged victorious. But the Second Punic War was to be even more dramatic. The Carthaginian general Hannibal is still considered one of history's greatest military strategists. With an army and war elephants, he crossed the Alps and marched into Italy. Hannibal defeated the Romans in several devastating battles, including those at Lake Trasimene and Cannae. Rome was on the brink of collapse, but the Republic did not give up. Instead of direct confrontation, the Roman general Fabius Maximus pursued a strategy of attrition. Later, Scipio Africanus brought the war to North Africa. In 202 BC, Hannibal was defeated at the Battle of Zama. Carthage lost its power. Rome was now the dominant power in the Western Mediterranean. After the victory over Carthage, Rome expanded at a rapid pace. The Romans conquered Greece, Asia Minor, Gaul, and parts of the Near East. With each victory, more riches, slaves, and resources flowed into Rome. But this enormous success also brought serious problems. The gap between rich and poor widened. Small farmers lost their land to wealthy landowners. Slave labor dominated the economy. Corruption and power struggles increasingly destroyed political institutions. The brothers Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus attempted to introduce reforms but were assassinated. Later, powerful generals like Marius and Sulla fought for control of the state. The Republic fell into a deep crisis. Slave revolts also shook Italy. The most famous was led by Spartacus. Violence escalated. In this chaos, a man rose whose name would forever be linked to Rome: Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was a brilliant general, politician, and orator. Between 58 and 50 BC, he conquered Gaul and became immensely wealthy and popular. But his power worried the Senate. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon with his army in 49 BC, a civil war broke out. His famous saying was, "The die is cast." Caesar defeated his opponents and eventually became dictator for life. He implemented numerous reforms and centralized power, but many senators feared that he wanted to become king. On March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March, Caesar was assassinated in the Senate. His death triggered further civil wars. Eventually, his adopted son Octavian prevailed. In 27 BC, Octavian received the title Augustus. Thus began the Roman Empire. Under Augustus, a long period of relative stability and prosperity began, known as the Pax Romana. The Roman Empire reached an enormous size, stretching from Britain to Mesopotamia and from North Africa to Central Europe. Rome became the center of the ancient world. The Romans built roads, aqueducts, amphitheaters, and temples. The Roman legal system continues to influence modern states. The Roman army was considered virtually invincible. Emperors like Trajan, Hadrian, and Marcus Aurelius led the empire to its greatest power. Monuments such as the Colosseum, the Pantheon, and Trajan's Column symbolized Rome's wealth and technological prowess. But behind the splendor, new problems arose. The costs of maintaining the enormous military constantly increased. Border conflicts with Germanic tribes intensified. Political instability and power struggles shook the state. In the 3rd century, the empire plunged into a severe crisis. Emperors were assassinated, plagues spread, and the economy partially collapsed. Nevertheless, rulers like Diocletian and Constantine managed to temporarily stabilize the empire. In 330 AD, Constantine founded Constantinople as the new capital in the East. He also legalized Christianity. This decision would permanently alter the course of European history. Over time, the center of power in the empire shifted increasingly eastward. The West grew progressively weaker. Germanic tribes invaded across the borders. In 410 AD, Rome was sacked by the Visigoths under Alaric. In 455, another shock followed. The Vandals once again plundered the Eternal City. Finally, in 476, the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. This traditionally marks the end of the Western Roman Empire. Italy now fragmented into various territories. The Ostrogoths under Theodoric initially attempted to preserve Roman traditions. However, the Byzantine reconquest under Emperor Justinian led to devastating wars. Cities were destroyed, and the population declined drastically. Shortly afterward, the Lombards invaded Italy. The peninsula remained politically fragmented for centuries. As secular rulers changed and empires crumbled, the Catholic Church gained increasing influence. The popes became not only religious but also political leaders. Pope Gregory the Great organized the administration of Rome and supported missionary projects in Europe. In the 8th century, the Lombards threatened Rome. The Pope therefore turned to the Franks. In 754, the Frankish king Pepin the Short provided military support to the Pope. This led to a lasting alliance between the papacy and the Frankish kingdom. On Christmas Day in the year 800, Pope Leo Roman III crowned Charlemagne emperor. This revived the idea of a Christian empire in the West. However, Italy remained a contested territory between emperors, popes, and local princes. During the Middle Ages, Italian cities developed into important trading centers. Venice, Genoa, Pisa, and Amalfi dominated Mediterranean trade. Merchants brought spices, silk, and luxury goods from the East to Europe. The Crusades opened up new economic opportunities. Venice, in particular, profited enormously. The Italian cities developed their own republican forms of government. After the Renaissance, Italy remained culturally rich but politically divided. In 1494, King Charles Romanate of France invaded Italy, beginning decades of conflict known as the Italian Wars. In 1527, Rome was brutally sacked by imperial troops, shocking all of Europe. Eventually, much of Italy came under Spanish control, while the center of European trade shifted from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic powers like Spain, Portugal, England, and the Netherlands. Despite losing political power, Italy remained a major center of art and culture. Baroque artists such as Caravaggio and Gian Lorenzo Bernini shaped European art, while Italian opera became famous worldwide. Later, Napoleon Bonaparte conquered much of Italy and introduced modern administrative systems and revolutionary ideas such as nationalism, liberty, and equality. Even after Napoleon's defeat, the dream of a united Italy continued to grow. In the 19th century, the movement for Italian unification, known as the Risorgimento, gained strength. Leaders such as Giuseppe Mazzini, Camillo Benso, Count of Cavour, and Giuseppe Garibaldi played key roles in creating a unified Italian state. In 1861, the Kingdom of Italy was proclaimed, and by 1870 Rome became the capital of a fully unified Italy. However, the new nation faced serious problems, including poverty, illiteracy, and economic inequality between the industrial North and the rural South. Millions of Italians emigrated to the Americas in search of better lives. Italy slowly modernized through industrial growth, railways, and education reforms. During World War I, Italy fought on the side of the Allies, but the hardships of war and post-war economic crises created instability. This allowed Benito Mussolini to rise to power in 1922. He established a fascist dictatorship, suppressed democracy, and later allied with Adolf Hitler during World War II. Italy suffered major military defeats, and after the Allied invasion of Sicily in 1943, Mussolini was overthrown. A brutal civil war followed until 1945, when the war ended and Mussolini was executed. After World War II, Italy abolished the monarchy and became a republic in 1946. In the following decades, the country experienced a remarkable economic recovery known as the Italian economic miracle. Companies like Fiat and Ferrari became global symbols of Italian innovation and design, while Milan emerged as a world fashion capital. Italy also became a founding member of the European Economic Community, helping shape modern Europe. Although the country later faced terrorism, corruption scandals, mafia violence, financial crises, and the COVID-19 pandemic, Italian society repeatedly showed resilience and strength. Today, Italy remains one of Europe's most influential nations, admired for its art, history, architecture, music, and cultural heritage. From the glory of ancient Rome to the masterpieces of the Renaissance and the struggle for democracy and unity, Italy's history has profoundly shaped the history of Europe and the wider world.